Gods and goddesses in training, welcome back to the channel. This is the art of flowmeostasis, okay? Now, if you've heard of homeostasis before, you understand it's the body keeping its own balance, its own harmony, right? It's the same thing with your social interactions, the same thing as you are communicating. You understand that there is a flow that is neutral, that maintains its rhythm. However, to keep it interesting, you have to know your range, okay? You have to know the highest you can go and the lowest you can go. And what I mean by this is you have to be able to touch all of those different aspects of that emotion, okay? You can't just see it in one way. You have to see it in all ways. And once you see that situation in all ways, you get to decide upon the ideas that inspire you and guide you. Because when does an idea become an ideal? You see, when we hold on to it for long. So this is really what I'm talking about in this video. It's a new concept. We had our channeling last night with BBA, Big Brother Asmodeus, and I got out of the trance, right, the channeling trance, and I'd look at my chair and I noticed that he's left behind his golden rose, right? It was behind me, but it just fell right after the channeling. And so I was like, okay, I guess this is like his calling card or whatever. He usually likes white roses, so I was kind of surprised at the golden rose. But I think he was trying to tell me, like, just lean into your golden shadow, man. Like, just lean into your golden shadow. You're almost there, right? And everybody's got to understand how to lean into their golden shadow, okay? By the way, disclaimer in this video, go and check out our website, okay? We have a disclaimer on there as well pertaining to channeling, okay? Because there's a lot of misinformation out there. A lot of people are confused and, you know, they project their ideas onto you. So we as a collective, as a spiritual brand, as a spiritual sangha of badasses, we want to maintain and keep that very solid, refined, and pure, the teachings, you know. It's not about going completely woo-woo. It's not about going completely dark side either, okay? We have to maintain our balance, and we can't be just, you know, enthusiasts in all of these different realms. We've got to really embody the quality or the theme of our life that we're carrying forward, and that's our basic harmony, right? So you understand that you as a man, you can get to such a level of dominance that everybody around you fears you in that moment, right? And if you've never experienced that as a man, actually, there might be situations which you might encounter in the future where you go, I'm scared of that, or I'm scared of confrontation, or I'm scared like this will be taken away from me. And you're living in this kind of scarcity paradigm, right? However, if you could change your mind and really think that, okay, maybe I can get myself to this level, this particular level, where I know that I'm safe and I'm guiding myself along this process, right? There's a difference to that level of energy than the previous one, correct? Because one, you're in fear, the other, you're in flow. And this is what we've got to differentiate. This culture is brainwashing you into a fear-based society. I see a spider outside my window, so we've sped up the timeline yet again. Congratulations, okay? We did it again, guys. So whenever you see spiders, by the way, it's just a sign that you've sped up the timeline, okay? They are the timekeepers, and so they manage the web, in a sense, okay? The web of information. Interesting analogy. Animals are messengers in any case, okay? So whatever animal visits you in that moment, you got to understand that there is a message coming through from the other side, especially if you're on a spiritual path working like Primal Sutra, okay? Our whole idea with Primal Sutra was to fuse spirituality with peak performance and high performance, because those two can't be these counter opposite things, right? It's like one is super Rajasic and one is super Sattvic, right? But we're finding the blend of both, in a sense. And we've found out that the highly integrated man, the one who's not too kind, and he's not too rude or mean either, right? He has a balance of, he's not shackled by those two extreme poles or those paradigms. He can be polarizing if he chooses to, okay? And this is another thing that we have to come to. It's the idea to form an opinion and really stand by it, right? Like not easily switching on your opinions based on what other people are saying around it, right? Don't be like that person who's super open-minded that he lets in all ideas, okay? I don't think that's wise either. We have to use discernment. How are you maintaining your flowmeostasis? How are you maintaining a good vibe throughout the day? And that's what I really wanted to talk about today, is you gotta have the right temperature to from the mall. Oh Lord, gotta get the right that thing to turn you on. I may like, wanna be the papa, you can be the mom. Whoa, gotta be jumping, we come in, you're gonna be jumping banana, and a bit of blanking up the belly, when you big mama. Okay, that's my light language for today. Sean Paul, okay? You gotta have the right temperature, right? And once you have the right temperature, you can lead the interaction to where you want to take it, okay? Like let's say you're having a conversation, it's more serious and you want to make it more seductive. I would just change my tone into a more seductive tone. You see, I'm slowing it down, I'm pacing myself, and my voice is slowly becoming a little bit deeper. It's not concerned with the internal world, it's actually projecting out a bit, see? I'm focused on the volume and the pacing and the eloquence and the depth in my voice right now as it's coming out and communicating. So I'm bringing her into a specific state of mind that's more subconscious to build trust, to build comfort, okay? There's nothing manipulative about this. We do this all the time, right? We're always manifesting like this. We've just got to understand how to place the right keys at the right time, in a sense, right? You got to know when to be yang, when to be yin, when to push, when to pull. That's the real art form. So I understand it's a part of the flow cycle, right? If you look at the flow cycle like yin and yang, it'll save you a lot of time. So you think of the struggle phase as pure yang energy. Boom, you got to just go for it. Right? Just go after it. Go get it. Boom. Just start the task somehow. Do something, right? Just get the ball rolling, get the momentum up there. It's called the struggle phase for a reason, okay? And then you go into release, which is yin. So you go from push to relax. Bad visual analogy, but you guys get what I mean, okay? If you as a man or woman, you're like, I can't touch that, or I can't do that, or I can't say that, there are some filters, right? Things clenching your communication, kind of keeping it in a verbal jujitsu lock, right? Like a guillotine choke or something. Your words can't really come out in that moment. But if I know one thing about grappling is that you have to let yourself feel into the pressure and play with it, relax as you're getting choked out or as you're in a submissive position, and kind of weave with it, right? Like take the energy and kind of move, do what you can, and then counter, right? So that's the kind of understanding that I want you to get. This is like a verbal jujitsu that manifests in your physical world through language and how you speak to yourself, and it creates your internal vibration, okay? So your self-talk is going to determine your level of your own flowmeostasis, and so your default state, that's really going to be key and very, very important for you, okay? So how you are feeling when there's absolutely nothing, right? Like imagine you just are just at a very, very baseline level, right? How are you feeling in general about yourself and with yourself? That's really what it comes down to, okay, is what I've realized. So as a woman, you can know that, okay, I can go really, really high pitched if I want to. Not that you're going to all the time, but you can reach that, you know, like how girls like yell at each other from across the room, like that. You have to be able to do that. Why? Because it's survival, right? Everything that we do as human beings is just survival. And that's what we have to understand is also the attraction code, okay? Now, and again, my expertise and lens is through flow state, right? I'm not a dating coach per se, but all my advice can help you in each realm, okay? These teachings. So I'm just explaining it to you from that standpoint, okay? I'm more so a relational alchemist, okay? You could call me. I'm not a dating coach. So a woman has got to know when to go, really high pitch, and also very, very what? She's got to know her own silence, when to not talk. She's got to know when she can reach maybe a little bit of a different avatar, different level, right? So there might be a very soft side to her nature, which is a part of her which she hasn't tapped into, but she can tap into it in the right moments, right? And so understanding your range like this is like understanding your superpower. So for a man, I would say it's between playfulness and dominance is that kind of wave, right? So you want to find who are you at your most playful and who are you at your most dominant, and then find the bridge to find the priest in between, okay? Because that's really what's gonna serve you and save you a lot of time in this, okay? Because y'all are taking it way too serious, you know what I mean? Like, the girl I lost my virginity to, the first text message she sent me when I was about to lose my virginity, she sent me a message that said, "Let's play." I don't know if you guys know my background. I had a concentration in psychology, but a lot of my classes were theater classes, okay? Which is, again, a play. It's called a play, right? And when it's a play, you're not attached to the character because you're just playing the character. And there's a certain effortlessness and ease that starts to take over, you know? And I understood this through channeling too. So with my acting background, I can actually change my voice and morph it according to the frequency that I'm picking up, which is really cool, all right? And this is why you should go to our events and check some of those out, because it's fascinating how this works, right? What I really started to understand is that the right vibe, okay, is generated by a combination of a lot of things. Your images, the words that you're using, like different sound bites you might have heard, okay? Or you're telling yourself, or looping, maybe it's a song stuck in your head, whatever it is. And then finally, the body sensations. You see, last night Ryan was having almost like an allergic reaction to something because we went into the underworld, you could say, did a little bit of deep dive into shadow work. And, you know, again, it's all about like the perception. If he's feeling a ringing in his ears and he feels like it's a bad thing, it can actually, you know, get him to feel worse about himself, and he will start to, you know, stagnate. But if he feels that ringing and he's like, wait a second, something is activating within me that's making me greater, right? That's going to amplify his energy and, you know, add more value and gifts to him in that moment. So it's almost like, how are you responding to life? That's the secret to flowmeostasis. So it's your response ability, your ability to respond, right? And so it's not about changing, as BBA said last night. He said, it's not about change because change is the constant, change is the norm. Transformation always is. However, what's different is you remember yourself for who you really are, okay? So every single time you're just shedding the false versions of you, correct? You're just shedding the false versions of you as you grow older and older. That's all that's happening. You're shedding your skin like a naga, right? Like a snake. And you're going through different renditions of yourself. And that comes from you changing your perspective, your perception, or your paradigm. These words are all interchangeable in my world. And I say in my world because this is a particular world which we've constructed, okay? It's almost like a different way of thinking or ideology. I don't know what you want to call it, but you're here for that particular reason. There's a reach to some of these teachings that can't be easily explained, right? They're very complex. And for you to sit here and actually try to understand them, kudos to you. You know, this is amazing stuff because this is what has really shaped me and helped me, you know, to evolve. So I'm just sharing my own process in a sense. Really, one of the key ways that you want to get towards this is it's what you are wanting and wishing to broadcast out is saying about what is broadcasting inwards, okay? So when you feel like on the outside world something is making you cringe or you're feeling triggered by something, that's something you haven't worked on in your internal world. You haven't met it with love. You're still looking at it as a part of you, but it's kind of separate from you. You see what I'm saying? Now, hey, your shadow is not very politically correct, right? Your shadow is just this rampant being that's just so full of darkness, right? But you have to love that darkness. You have to love that that's my human nature, right? And this ability to be able to do that, right, gives me actually a sense of power and free will in this thing. Not that I'm going to, but I know that I can, okay? Of course, Jordan Peterson kind of popularized that term, right, of just like being the monster and then controlling being the monster, right? And that's the very idea, okay? And again, as I brought up in my video yesterday, all of these leaders that you're sensing, they're very articulate in their communication. And as they're able to communicate, reality starts to shift around them. Because they understand the notion of abracadabra, I will create as I speak. So they're just literally living as they're creating their reality through their words. So if someone is giving them a present, they're not saying, oh, thank you so much. They're like, naturally. Okay? Very well. Okay? In the internal world, they might be saying thank you on the outside. Thank you, sir. On the inside, it's like, this is bound to happen. Okay? And I don't want you to think of this as an entitlement kind of, narcissism feeling, right, internally. But it's more so an understanding that you know yourself so well and you have your own back and you have that safety. It's this feeling of pronoia, as I was talking about in my video yesterday, right, on Instagram. So guys, I have to get going right now. I have a session with somebody. It was great connecting with you once again. Have an incredible day. May the flow be with you and stay legendary. Let's get it to the upward spiral.